Welcome to the channel. In today's recap, we're diving into The Creator, a gripping, thought-provoking sci-fi thriller that explores the complex relationship between humans and AI set in a futuristic world on the brink of war. This film takes us through a high-stakes journey of survival, morality, and the battle for humanity's future. With breathtaking visuals and a powerful storyline, The Creator challenges our perceptions of technology, identity, and what it means to be human. So, sit back, relax, and let's break down the plot, characters, and key moments of this mind-bending adventure. Let's get started. In an alternate version of Earth, humanity starts creating robots with a sophisticated AI, referred to as simulants, or just Sims. These machines quickly integrate into everyday life, so to make them appear more human, people volunteer to have their faces scanned and replicated onto the robots. Before long, Sims aren't just workers, they become companions, athletes, and even law enforcement officers. In 2055, a nuclear missile detonates in Los Angeles, triggered by a Sim developed by the government, killing almost 1 million people. In response, the Western world unites to prohibit the use of AI, while New Asia continues to embrace Sims as full-fledged citizens. The United States embarks on a mission to eliminate all Sims, regularly launching attacks on New Asia to achieve this goal. The most powerful weapon at their disposal is the Nomad, a massive space station that scans the ground for Sims and swiftly eliminates them. The military's top priority is to locate someone named Nirmata, the scientist and leader behind the AI advancements. 10 years later, a group of American soldiers lands on the coast of New Asia, as Nomad hovers in the sky above. Nearby, Joshua lives with his pregnant wife Maya, who bears a distinct tattoo. Suddenly, they hear a noise, prompting Joshua to equip his robotic limbs to investigate and find their Sim companions. The group, led by Harun, has brought along Drew, an American soldier they found sneaking in the area. After a Sim interrogates Drew, trying to make him speak, Drew refuses to divulge anything, even as Nomad draws nearer. The team decides it's time to relocate and find a new hideout, so Harun's team quickly prepares boats while Maya packs. Once Joshua is alone, he scolds Drew for not cooperating, revealing that Drew is actually an undercover American soldier. As the Sim soldiers and American soldiers engage in a gunfight outside, Joshua grabs Drew's radio and tells the commander to stop the attack since Nirmata isn't with them. Maya overhears this and, upset that Joshua lied about leaving the army, threatens him with a gun. However, before they can argue further, soldiers drag Joshua out of the house. Maya flees and joins the Sims on the boats, but just as they depart, Nomad launches a missile that kills them all. 5 years later, Joshua is back in the United States, trying to adjust to civilian life. He takes medication for his PTSD and regularly sees a therapist who uses a lie detector to ensure he's being truthful. Joshua now works as part of a cleanup crew at Ground Zero, and one afternoon, he and a coworker encounter a robot that suddenly activates. The robot convulses and pleads for mercy, sounding disturbingly human. His coworker panics, but Joshua immediately powers it down and reminds him that these are just machines without feelings. All the robots they discover are taken to be deactivated. Later that evening, Joshua watches videos of Maya, reminiscing about when she customized his robotic limbs. He recalls that he lost them when the nuclear strike destroyed Los Angeles and that he lost his entire family that day as well. Afterward, he goes for a swim but is suddenly approached by General Andrews and Colonel Howell, who need his help with a mission. They've learned that Nirmata is developing a superweapon capable of destroying Nomad, and without it, the United States would lose the war. Joshua is the only one familiar with the lab's layout and is asked to guide a team to destroy the weapon. At first, Joshua refuses, reminding them that if they hadn't ruined his mission, his wife would still be alive. However, he quickly changes his mind when Howell shows him a holographic video of Maya, proving she is alive and working on the superweapon. That night, Joshua joins Howell's team, and they travel to New Asia. After Nomad scans the area, the team lands in a field, and Joshua leads them toward the lab, only to discover that a village has been built over it. The soldiers decide to invade, and they begin interrogating the villagers, keeping them on their knees at gunpoint. McBride threatens to shoot a child's dog, making the girl cry and gesture toward a totem. When Joshua twists it, an entrance to the lab opens. McBride and Bradbury stay outside as guards, while the rest of the team enters the lab, where they find a long corridor leading to a group of technicians, whom they shoot down. Joshua checks the security cameras and realizes Maya is nearby. As the team moves forward and kills more scientists, the workers lock themselves in a bulletproof room. Joshua explains that the door can only be opened with facial recognition, so one of the soldiers uses a knife to remove the face of a dead technician. Meanwhile, Bradbury notices police approaching, so she fires missiles, pretending to surrender. The police attempt to arrest her, but the missiles land and instantly eliminate all the Sims. However, more police arrive, and Bradbury is forced to take cover. The team pushes deeper into the lab and finds a vault that needs to be hacked. Shipley and Joshua stay behind to work on it while the others fight the incoming guards. Eventually, they begin losing men, and Shipley rushes to assist them. When the lock is finally hacked, the vault opens, and Joshua enters to find a child sitting on a couch, watching TV. Shocked, he realizes the child is a Sim, something that had never been done before. A scientist suddenly appears and shoots Joshua, then opens an emergency exit for the child, instructing her to find Nirmata. The child exits the lab and observes the outside world for the first time, only to witness a battle in the field. Joshua follows her outside and searches for Maya among the fleeing scientists, but he cannot find her. The rest of the team retreats to the plane, explaining that the mission failed, and they need to leave before Nomad fires again. However, Howell insists on checking something first and stays behind. Bradbury attempts to return but is struck in the back. Despite this, she makes it onto the plane before it takes off, only to discover a bomb attached to her. The bomb detonates in midair, causing the plane to crash just before Nomad launches another missile. Joshua is knocked unconscious in the explosion. The next morning, Joshua awakens on a boat and notices the robotic girl staring at him. He throws a rock at her to make her leave, but the girl simply throws it back at him. He investigates the area and finds Shipley, who is wounded. Joshua helps him to an abandoned home to avoid detection by the police, who are searching the area. Suddenly, they hear a noise and discover that the girl has followed them. She is now watching TV. Joshua turns it off, but she turns it back on with a mere gesture, realizing she is the superweapon. At that moment, Joshua's communicator rings with a call from Howell, which attracts the attention of a nearby farmer Sim. Joshua tells Howell about the child, and the colonel orders him to kill her. However, when he notices the girl is drawing Maya's tattoo, he hesitates and lowers his gun. Just then, the farmer approaches and offers to protect Alfie. Joshua shoots the farmer, but his action alerts the police. Joshua then asks Alfie where he can find Maya, and she answers that she is in Dian Dang. The police soon surround the house and open fire. Joshua drags Shipley and the girl into the farmer's truck. When a grenade is thrown at them, a dog retrieves it and returns it outside, causing the explosion that kills the police. Alfie then uses her power to activate the truck, and they escape. Meanwhile, McBride and Howell team up, eliminating Bowie and taking control of the van, setting off to track Joshua. Sometime later, Shipley, near death, begs Joshua to take him to a hospital. Joshua explains they're too far from an American base, but he promises to take him to a friend. Unfortunately, Shipley dies from his injuries. Joshua spots a car approaching and hides Alfie's robotic head under a hat. When the car stops, he demands a ride into the city at gunpoint. Later, McBride and Howell find the abandoned car and Shipley's body. Howell uses a device to transfer Shipley's consciousness into Bowie's Sim body, but Shipley panics when he sees his own body and dies again after providing a cryptic message about Joshua. At a checkpoint in the city, Joshua hides in the back of a car, but a cop spots Alfie and asks her to remove her hat. Alfie causes a blackout, sparks a distraction, and activates the car, leading them safely into the city and out of the police's reach. Howell and McBride learn of their escape. Later, an officer who shares Bowie's appearance discovers the bodies by the road. After successfully escaping the cops and getting into the city, Joshua tries to get information about Dian Dang from Alfie, but Alfie remains silent. Suddenly, they're spotted by the authorities, and Joshua rushes to get them both on a train. While on board, Joshua notices other women who resemble Maya, but realizes they're just Sims with her donor's face. Alfie begins asking Joshua deep questions about life and the afterlife, prompting him to explain heaven and who he believes goes there, but he doubts he'll be allowed in. Alfie, doubting herself, claims she isn't human enough to go either. While Alfie falls asleep, Joshua is haunted by memories of his past mission from Drew, who had instructed him to marry Maya to gather intelligence. Drew even gave him a ring equipped with a tracker to ensure her loyalty. The next day, Joshua and Alfie disembark the train and see their faces plastered across city screens as wanted fugitives. A citizen recognizes them and alerts the authorities. Thinking quickly, Joshua takes Alfie to a sim factory, where he meets his old friend Drew, who has undergone a complete change of heart since the attack and now strongly supports AI, to the extent that he's in a relationship with a sim named Cammy. Joshua asks Drew to unlock Alfie's secrets and extract Maya's location. However, Drew discovers that Alfie's complex encryption blocks them from accessing the data, so Joshua proposes tracking Maya's ring instead. Though Drew insists that Maya has died, Joshua refuses to believe it. As they investigate, Cammy distracts Alfie, but Alfie senses something ominous approaching. Cammy dismisses her concerns until it's too late. A delivery worker who shares Bowie's appearance infiltrates their location, concealing a bomb in the food package. The explosion devastates the room, killing Cammy instantly. Joshua springs into action, shooting down the cops as Alfie calmly watches. In a particularly brutal moment, Joshua injures Bowie's lookalike, then uses another cop's weapon to finish off the rest before he, Alfie, and a grieving Drew flee as reinforcements approach. Their escape is barely timely. Howell and McBride, who have been trailing them, arrive shortly after and examine the remains of Cammy, planning to exploit her for information. Drew then successfully tracks the signal from Maya's ring to a house Joshua and Maya once shared. When Joshua and Alfie reach the location, he finds the ring on the flooded floor and watches old security footage of the attack. Joshua's emotions boil over, and he snaps at Alfie. The childlike Alfie begins to cry, which makes Joshua see her as more than a machine, prompting him to comfort her with an apology. Their reunion is interrupted by Drew, who stumbles in with a fatal wound and confesses with his dying breath that Maya was the new Nirmada, the mastermind. They'd kept this secret to avoid rekindling Joshua's love for her. In the chaos that follows, Joshua and Alfie are captured by a group of Sim soldiers led by Harun. After a brief fight, Joshua is knocked unconscious. That night, he dreams of Maya sharing her story, how she was raised and loved by simulants after her father fled during the early days of the war. When Joshua awakens in a cell aboard a ship, Harun explains that Maya had indeed inherited the role of Nirmada from her father, and created Alfie specifically to disable Nomad, the human's anti-sim weapon. The nuclear attack on LA, Harun clarifies, was due to a human error, yet the machines were blamed. While they're still discussing, Nomad bombs the ship, sparking a chance for escape. Joshua persuades Alfie to help him, and he jumps into the sea amidst a hail of bullets. Presumed dead, he sneaks ashore and witnesses a harmonious coexistence between Sims and humans in the city. That evening, Joshua covertly puts Harun on standby and tries to escape with Alfie, but their attempt coincides with a brutal American attack. Massive tanks decimate buildings, and Howell sends in explosive robots to annihilate soldiers. When a bomb-toting robot targets them, Alfie shuts it down with her powers, but not before McBride intervenes and injures Alfie. Enraged, Joshua retaliates, killing McBride. With Alfie unconscious, Joshua races to get her help from Harun, who directs him to the one place that can restore her. Meanwhile, Howell captures Cammy's head and uses it to extract information before killing her again. During their journey, Harun reveals that Alfie was created from a scan of Maya's own embryo, making her a version of Joshua and Maya's child who never survived. Finally, Joshua arrives at a temple where he sees Alfie lying beside Maya's lifeless body, connected to a machine. The monks inform him that Maya has been in a vegetative state since the attack, her body kept alive artificially. Breaking down, Joshua decides to disconnect her himself. As he says goodbye, the Americans attack, slaughtering the Sims and civilians. Howell arrives and downloads Maya's consciousness into a chip but is ambushed by Harun. Alfie detonates a bomb, killing Howell and her soldiers. Before dying, Harun urges Joshua to destroy Nomad. Joshua takes Maya's consciousness chip and escapes with Alfie, but they're soon caught by the Americans. Back in LA, Andrews, the military leader, orders Joshua to kill Alfie. Feigning compliance, Joshua whispers to Alfie to enter standby mode, making it appear as if she's dead. He then smuggles her out, escaping in a hijacked transport. Using Alfie's powers, they commandeer a plane to Nomad, where she deactivates the guards through electronic manipulation. Once inside, Joshua ejects the guards into the sky and prepares an explosive to dismantle Nomad permanently. As Alfie uses her abilities to stop an impending missile strike on the Sim settlements, Joshua installs the bomb. Their mission is almost complete, but Joshua's oxygen is depleting, and Alfie becomes trapped by a giant robotic guard unleashed by Andrews. Joshua disables the robot, freeing Alfie, and they hurry to the escape pod as Nomad begins its self-destructive countdown. Knowing time is short, Joshua tells Alfie he'll meet her in heaven and releases her escape pod to safety. In the final moments, Joshua watches Maya's simulant, who finally comes to life. The two embrace, sharing one last kiss before Nomad explodes, killing them both. Alfie's pod lands safely on Earth, where she reunites with other Sims and witnesses their newfound freedom. That's a wrap for today's recap of The Creator. What did you think of the film's themes and twists? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your take. If you enjoyed the breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a recap. Stay tuned for more deep dives into your favorite movies. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.